The European Indoor Championships are kicking off on Thursday, March 6th and will last all the way till Sunday, March 9th, and they'll be going down in Apeldoorn, Netherlands. And the European Championships, indoors and out, does tend to be one of the more high-profile events because European athletes tend to treat this not necessarily like an Olympic Games or World Championships, but they do hold the event in very high prestige, especially when talking about accolades relative to others throughout history. So I figured, just like we'd seen at previous editions, we would see some top names like Armando Duplantis, like a Karsten Warholm, like maybe a Dean Asher. I thought we might see some of these names, but turns out that a lot of athletes this year are skipping out on European Indoor Championships and then likely World Championships as well. So, two things I want to talk about today. Why is it that so many high-profile athletes are skipping out on the European Indoor Championships this year in 2025? And then I do want to give a spotlight to two specific events that I do think have some very high-quality fields and are almost guaranteed to produce some very quality marks. So, let's talk about why so many athletes are skipping out on European Indoor Championships. First off, some of the names. Femke Bol. Femke Bol earlier this season already announced that she is not competing during the indoor season. She's going to be running here at the European Indoors, but only on the 4x4 and the mixed 4x4 for the Netherlands, specifically because it's going down in her home nation. But she's not running in the 400 like she has done in basically every single year since she's, really rose to the ranks over the past, 6 years at this point. She's a world record holder in the 400. She has the top, 3 or 4 all-time marks in the 400 as well. But she did say a few weeks back that she wants to focus in on the outdoor season and make sure that she's prepared for that. Like I said, the only reason she's competing at the European Indoor Championships is because it's in the Netherlands, gets that home country boost, and it's an experience that she did not want to miss. What about Mondo Duplantis? We just saw Mondo break the world record in the pole vault, jumping 6.27 meters. That's his 11th world record that he's ever broken in his career over the past 5 years since he first did it in 2020. But he is not going to be competing at the European Indoor Championships to instead ensure he's focused and prepared for the Outdoor Championships all the way out in September. There, he's going to be going for his 3rd consecutive World Championship gold and his 5th overall gold when you include the 2 Olympics that he's won since 2020 as well. Now, to be fair, Mondo didn't compete at the 2023 European Indoor Championships, but he did get his first title at Euros Indoors in 2021. So maybe him skipping out is not too much of a surprise. But some other names, Marcel Jacobs. We did see Marcel Jacobs. He ran 2 races early in the season at the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix, ran heats and finals in the 60-meter dash. He, of course, is a 2021 Olympic champion in the 100. Everyone saw him do pretty well in 2024, getting 5th place in the Olympic final, despite coming back from injuries and everything like that. Now, he is also not going to be competing here as well. He's not on the entry list, despite him stating that he wanted to go for a gold medal at Euro Indos this year. Now, do remember, he did pull out of the Millrose Games early in the season because he got a little sick coming to New York City, again, coming off the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix in Boston. Then he has not competed since then. So it did seem like there was some writing on the wall that Marcel was going to be shutting down his season, but he's another casualty in terms of Euro Indos here. The other athlete here, Miltiades Tentoglou, he was actually slated to compete and he's actually on the entry list, but it was just recently announced that he actually got sick and pulled out of the meet early this week. He actually said, quote, "I've been feeling really sick the past week. I tried to train, but I'm just not feeling well." Now, Tentoglou, he of course is basically the most dominant long jumper of this current generation in the event. He has a double Olympic gold medal. He has a World Championship gold medal from 2023, silver from 2022. He of course is the most dominant long jumper when talking about accolades. But the start of the 2025 season hasn't looked as strong for Tentoglou, but he is always going to be one in the conversation. So to lose him to the European Indoor Championships, that definitely does make it a blow to the event. Now, to be fair, you do still have athletes like Mattia Furlani. He's going to be going for something big. He's a current world leader at 8.37 meters. You also have someone like Tobias Muntler. He's going to be a very, very strong competitor to Mattia Furlani. So the field is relatively solid, but Tentoglou pulling out of the meet, that definitely does hit the event. Now, a few other athletes. Dean Asher Smith. Dean Asher Smith, she's competed indoors this year, but she's focused in on the 400 and some longer distance events. We've seen her and Julian Alfred, they both train together under Coach Flo. They've really been focusing on some longer distances. We just saw Dina announced as a challenger at the Grand Slam track meet in Kingston, Jamaica. She's going to be running the 200, 400 there. Seems that she's not focused on the 60-meter dash. Seems that she's not focused on, indoors primarily this season. Maybe she really does want to focus on the outdoor season. But again, you're talking about a high-profile athlete from Europe who's not competing at European Indoors. Just along with that, you have Daryl Nita. Daryl Nita is someone who also is one of the more high-profile, sprinters from Europe and of course from Great Britain specifically. She's going to be competing in Grand Slam track in April. She's a signed racer in the short sprints groups, the 100 and the 200. But she, of course, is going to be primarily focusing in on the 2025 outdoor season because she wants to get her first medal. Similar to Dean Asher-Smith, who's probably looking to get on the podium, get back on the podium, hasn't been there since 2022. Daryl Nita is looking to get on the podium for the first time individually. She got 4th place in the 100-meter dash at the Olympic Games last year. She got 5th place in the 200-meter dash. Similar situation in 2023 when she just missed the podium. She is definitely looking to really get into the conversation and solidify herself as, a strong individual athlete in the sprints. On top of that, Daryl Nita recently just moved from Italy, training under Marco Airali, all the way down to Florida to train with Lance Brauman. So there's a shift in her training environment. There's a shift in, her training schedule and all those kind of details. So moving and competing at the European Indoor Championships probably just did not make sense in the grand scheme of things. Though, despite that, I think in 2023, she was the European Indoor bronze medalist in the 60-meter dash. So she, of course, has some chops. The last athlete who always competes at Euro Indoors is Karsten Warholm. Karsten Warholm, world record holder in the 400-meter hurdles, Tokyo 2020 Olympic gold medalist, 2024 Olympic silver medalist from Paris. He is not going to be competing at Euro Indoors, despite being the 2-time defending 400-meter gold medalist at Europeans. He also has a European indoor record at 45.05 seconds. He has very strong chops. He got the silver medal at the World Indoor Championships in 2024, but we're not going to see him competing here. Why? Maybe, again, going to be focusing on the outdoor season, just coming off the silver medal at the Olympic Games. He had a, relatively strong season historically in the 400-meter hurdles, but did lose out to Rai Benjamin. Maybe, get him being a little bit older than Rai Benjamin, Alison Dos Santos, and a bunch of other guys. He's definitely probably looking at how can I make sure I maximize my potential, maximize my skills, and extend the longevity of my career before I just, start to trail off a little bit. I think he's probably focusing on that. So overall, you can kind of see a trend with all these athletes, at least from my understanding, that they're probably focusing in on the outdoor season. We have a very long 2025 season, and every athlete wants to make sure that they're going to get gold at the World Championships in Tokyo later on in September. This, of course, is a consistent trend as to why athletes are not only skipping European Indoor Championships, but also World Indoor Championships, and then also just indoor seasons as a whole. So yes, I do understand it, but it does cause events like these to kind of take a hit and not provide the, exposure that you would like to see for an indoor championships. Now, to be fair, I'm only, mentioning some of the sprints, the jumps, the hurdles, those athletes who have been competing here, not talking about the distances. We do see some, really strong fields for the most part across the distances, but you don't see some athletes like Josh Kerr. He's, of course, ended his 2025 indoor season. Keely Hodgkinson, she, of course, got injured and is no longer competing indoors. So all of them are taking a back seat, but sprint, jumps, and hurdles, we do see some high-profile names completely skipping out on the meet. But that doesn't diminish two specific events that I'm definitely going to have my eye out for this coming weekend, both on the women's side, and both, in my opinion, are guaranteed to produce some high quality competition. First off, the women's 400 meters. Now, this is kind of a three-way race between three high quality athletes from three different nations who have raced each other a few times outdoors, maybe once or twice indoors, depending on the matchup. But I think this is going to be a very, very strong and competitive race between all three of these women. First off, Lieke Klaver from the Netherlands. She, of course, is going to be competing at home in the Netherlands. She is a 2024 World Indoor Silver medalist in the 400. She has a personal best of 50.10 seconds from last year, 2024. This year, she's already run 50.76 seconds in the 400 meter dash. Again, very strong competitor. She's been on the world stage for a couple years now. She's, of course, kind of, been in the shadow a little bit of Femke Bol, but she is really going to be showing up for her home country here. On top of that, you have Amber Anning from Great Britain. She's a 2024 NCAA indoor champion. She competed for Arkansas last year, so she actually doesn't have as many head-to-heads with Lieke Klaver and the other woman I'll talk about in a moment, but personal best of 50.43 seconds from 2024 and a season's best of 50.57 seconds in 2025. Now, one thing to note is that she was 5th place in the Olympic final last year in Paris, which was by far the fastest 400 meter final that we've ever seen in the history of, women's 400 meter dash running. And she has a 49.29 personal best outdoors. So she truly has some very strong chops and is going to be another strong competitor when talking about Euros indoors here. And this is her first season as a professional. Don't sleep on her. But the last woman, the world leader in 2025, Henriette Jager from Norway. Apologize for the pronunciation. She was a semifinalist at the 2024 World Indoor Championships, but she's only 21 years old. So she's still young. She's still growing, still developing. Personal best and season's best of 50.44 seconds. So that is a world lead in 2025. She really set the world on fire when she put down that mark. She was also 8th place in the Olympic final last year. And yes, getting last place, it may seem like, oh, you didn't do that well. Like I said, the Paris Olympic final last year was the fastest and deepest 400-meter race that we have ever seen for a women's 400-meter race. So she has some high quality, has a personal best of 49.85 outdoors in the 400. She is definitely going to be fighting to get her first, major championship medal, right? She doesn't have a world indoor medal, doesn't have any European medals. She is still young, still developing, and definitely going to be in the conversation here. Now, between all three of these women, like I noted, Amber Anning was in the NCAA competing at the University of Arkansas over the past couple years. So she never actually raced Lieke Klaver as well as Jager indoors. So she has no indoor marks. On the flip side, Klaver actually has a 2-0 record over Jager indoors in the 400. Like I said, Jager is still extremely young, still developing, and she's only 21 years old. Klaver has been on the scene for a couple years now, still extremely young as well, but Klaver, of course, is going to have her title, and Jager just hasn't been able to get into some of those high-profile races, those Diamond League races, or, this indoor world tour races that Klaver and Femke Bol in previous years have been able to really be consistent at. So what am I looking at in terms of who's going to come out on top? Well, in my personal opinion, I actually think that Jager has a little bit of the momentum here. She's coming off the world lead. She's coming off a lot of hype in terms of, her presence, her, being the newcomer on the scene. I think she has the momentum and it's probably maybe the slight favorite, but I do think it might be a little bit even across all three, and then Klaver has the home crowd. Remember, she is in the Netherlands. The last couple times that, she competed at her national championships indoors, that was Femke Bol breaking the world record the past 2 years. Klaver was right behind in second place, setting personal best. So I think Klaver is going to have the home crowd, whereas Jager might have slight momentum. On the flip side, I know it's interesting to say that Anning, who, finished 5th place at the Olympic Games ahead of both of them, I think she maybe could be the quote-unquote spoiler here. Though, let me be clear. I think it's a blanket in terms of picking who is the actual favorite, but I think Anning would be the spoiler. Again, Jager has the world lead. Klaver has the home crowd. Anning is kind of the outsider where she can really come in here and break things up. Now, anyone who wins out of these three, I don't think it's going to be a surprise. Any one of them can really take the title, so we'll see. But women's 400, that's definitely going to be on my radar. The other event is the women's 60-meter dash. And in my opinion, this actually might be a little more interesting because we have a few more women who are in contention here, and they have all raced a couple times throughout 2025, and of course in the past as well. First off, Mujinga Kambundji from Switzerland, 2022 World Indoor Gold medalist from Belgrade, Serbia that year. Personal best of 6.96 seconds, which she ran, to get that gold medal at the World Indoors in 2022. Season's best of 7.03 seconds in 2025. She is also the defending European indoor champion from 2023. So she might be holding a lot of the cards at this point. She's the only world indoor champion, coming into this field here. But you do have Zainab Dosso from Italy. She's coming in as a world indoor bronze medalist from 2024, personal best of 7.02 seconds from last year as well, and she has a season's best of 7.05 seconds from 2025. So she also is very, very consistent. Also, been on the podium at World Indoors. I think she is very much in the conversation. She's young, she's rising, she's going to be a problem. On top of that though, Patricia van der Weeken from Luxembourg. She has been on a tear kind of the past couple years, but doesn't have the major accolades yet. 7th place at the World Indoor Championships last year, so behind a couple of the women. 7.07 personal best and season's best in 2025. She has also been kind of clicking off a couple of these 7.0 marks all throughout the season, but she is also undefeated over 60-meter dash this year. So she's the only one who's actually undefeated out of all of these women. But the last person, Iwa Swoboda from Poland, 2024 World Indoor Silver medalist. She has been called kind of a 60-meter specialist for a couple years now because she's run so fast indoors, never translated outdoors until she finally broke the 11-second barrier. But silver medalist last year, 2023 silver medalist as well, behind Mujinga Kambundji in the 60, 6.98 personal best from 2024, and then a 7.09 season's best from 2025. So she really is only second to Mujinga Kambundji when talking about, personal best and when talking about accolades, right? That silver medal indoors, Mujinga Kambundji has a gold, 6.98 for Swoboda, 6.96 for Kambundji. Now, let's talk about the head-to-heads. Head-to-head in 2025 specifically, Zainab Doso. She has 2 wins over Mujinga Kambundji. 2 wins to 0 for Zainab over Mujinga. On the flip side, Zainab is 1-for-1 over Swoboda. So each of them have 1 win over each other. Mujinga Kambundji, remember, she has 2 losses to Zainab Doso, but she also has 1 win versus Swoboda, who also has 1 win over Mujinga Kambundji. So Mujinga, Zainab, Swoboda, they are kind of like splitting hairs at the point. Zainab Doso, probably has the edge over them 3 for the most part, but Patricia van der Weeken, she has 1 win over Swoboda. That's the only other athlete that she's raced out of these 4 women. 1 win over Swoboda, while she hasn't raced the other athletes. Now, who am I looking at in terms of the favorite here? How am I kind of splicing up this field? I think that Zainab Doso is a slight favorite here. Similar to the women, I wouldn't be surprised if any of them actually came out and got the title. But Zainab Doso, considering she has a win over every single person except, Patricia van der Weeken, because she hasn't raced her, but 2-0 versus Mujinga Kambundji, she's 1-1 over Swoboda. I think that Zainab Doso probably has the slight edge. And that win for Zainab over Mujinga Kambundji and Iwa Swoboda, that actually came at the World Indoor Tour in Torun, which was relatively recent. So I do think that Zainab has a slight edge here. Now, on the flip side, I do think that Mujinga Kambundji, she might have a little bit of an edge over Iwa Swoboda only because of that experience. Like I noted, Kambundji, she has a faster personal best. She has a world indoor gold medal. She has the European indoor gold medal, defending champion. While Swoboda, she has a world indoor silver medal. She has a silver medal to Kambundji at Europeans last year and just a slightly slower personal best. Now, this is kind of like splitting hairs, but Kambundji, when she is serious, when she is really going for a title, she really is not going to take herself out of the running. So I think that she's probably slightly in second place, whereas I do think that Swoboda might be the 3rd place here. Now, she's looking like she's consistent. She's looking like she wants to move a place up from the silver she got in 2023 and really solidify herself as the top European woman right now. On the flip side, number 4, Patricia van der Weeken. She is kind of the sleeper pick where she doesn't have any major accolades. She hasn't been on the podium at World Indoors like the other women have. She hasn't gotten a European, indoor title or medal, and she's kind of still on the rise. Slowest personal best out of the group, but I think she is the sleeper in this field. But honestly, it could be a blanket finish. All of them are extremely competitive, and all of them are going to be working for the gold medal that they all think that they deserve. So those are the 2 events that I definitely have my eye out for. Again, we saw so many athletes kind of pull out of this meet. There's a few other storylines, like I noted, the men's long jump, Mattia Furlani, he's going to be going for, farther mark. He has a world lead at 8.37 meters, but he's going to have some competition with Tobias Montzler. The women's 60-meter hurdles is going to be competitive. The men's 60-meter hurdles going to be pretty competitive. And of course, distance races definitely going to have some great competition there as well. But questions for ya as we look forward to European Indoor Championships. What are you looking forward to at these 2025 European Indoor Championships? Is it the 60-meter dash from the women? Is it the 400-meter dash from the women? Is it any other event that we didn't mention and I didn't kind of break down here today? Let me know what you're looking forward to, and let me know your picks in the women's 60 and the women's 400. And then on the flip side, should we see more athletes actually show up for these European Indoor Championships, or are they justified in saying, hey, I'm skipping out on Euros, I'm skipping out on World Indoors, I'm just focused on the World Outdoor Championships. That is my sole focus, as that's probably the only thing that truly does matter. Let me know what you think. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Always appreciate y'all. Thanks for watching.